as we are discussing about axially loaded members. In this section, we introduce the subject of strain energy in its simplest form by considering only axially loaded members subjected to static loads. The strain energy is a fundamental concept in applied mechanics, and strain energy principles are widely used for determining the response of machines and structures to both static and dynamic loads. To illustrate the basic idea of strain energy, let us consider a prismatic bar of length L subjected to a tensile force P. We assume that the load is applied slowly, so that it gradually increases from 0 to its maximum value P. Such a load is called a static load because there are no dynamic or inertial effects due to motion. The bar gradually elongates as the load is applied, eventually reaching its maximum elongation delta at the same time the load reaches its full value P. Thereafter, the load and elongation remains unchanged. During the loading process, the load P moves slowly through a distance delta and does a certain amount of work. To evaluate this work, we recall from elementary mechanisms that a constant force does work equal to the product of the force and the distance through which it moves. However, in our case, the force varies in magnitude from 0 to its maximum value P. To find the work done by the load under these conditions, we need to know the manner in which force varies. This information is supplied by the load displacement diagram, such as the one plotted in the figure here. On this diagram, the vertical axis represents the axial load and the horizontal axis represents the corresponding elongation of the bar. The shape of the curve depends upon the properties of the material. Now let us denote a P1, any value of the load between 0 and the maximum value P, and let us denote the corresponding elongation of the bar by delta 1. Then the small change in load, that is represented by dP1, will produce a change in the length of the bar by a value of d delta 1. The work done by the load during this incremental elongation is the product of the load and the distance through which it moves. That is the work equal to P1 d delta 1. This work is represented in the figure by the area of the shaded strip below the load displacement curve. The total work done by the load as it increases from 0 to the maximum value P is the summation of all such experimental steps. In geometric terms, the work done by the load is equal to the area below the load displacement curve. So when the load stretches the bar, strains are produced. The presence of these strains increases the energy level of the bar itself. Therefore, the new quantity called the strain energy is expressed as, and it is defined as the energy absorbed by the bar during the loading process. From the principle of conservation of energy, we know that the strain energy is equal to the work done by the load, providing no energy added or subtracting in the form of heat. In this equation, U is the symbol for strain energy. Sometimes strain energy is referred to as internal work to distinguish it from the external work done by the load. Work and energy are expressed in the same units. In SI, the unit of work and energy is the joule, which is equal to 1 Newton meter. Now we will discuss about elastic and inelastic strain energy. If the force P is slowly removed from the bar, as the bar shown here in figure, the bar will shorten. If the elastic limit of the material is not exceeded, the bar will return to its original length. If the limit is exceeded, a permanent set will remain, as we already discussed in the section of stress strain energy. Thus, either all or part of the strain energy will be recovered in the form of work. This behavior is shown on the load displacement diagram in the figure here. During loading, the work done by the load is equal to the area below the curve, that is the area OA BCDO. When the load is removed, the load displacement diagram follows the line BD if point B is beyond the elastic limit and a permanent elongation OD remains. Thus, the strain energy recovered during unloading called the elastic strain energy, is represented by the shaded triangle BCD. However, the area OABDO represents the energy that is lost in the process of permanently deforming the bar. This energy is known as an inelastic strain energy. However, most structures are designed with the expectations that the material will remain within the elastic range under ordinary conditions of service. Let us assume that the load at which the stress in the material reaches the elastic limit is represented by point A on the load displacement curve. As long as the load is below this value, all of the strain energy is recovered during unloading and no permanent elongation remains. Thus, the bar acts as an elastic spring, storing or releasing energy as the load is applied and removed. Linearly elastic behavior. Now let us assume that the material of the bar follows the Hooke's law, so that the load displacement curve is a straight line, as shown in figure here. Then the strain energy U stored in the bar, equal to the work W done by the load, is expressed as P delta over 2, which is actually the area of the shaded triangle OAB in the figure. The relationship between the load P and the elongation delta of a bar of linearly elastic material is given by the expression as we already discussed in the previous sections as delta is equal to PL over EA. Combining this equation with the previous one enables us to express the strain energy of a linearly elastic bar in either of the following forms. Strain energy is equal to P square L over 2 EA. The other term is expressed as strain energy is equal to EA delta square over 2L. The first expression expresses the strain energy as a function of the load, and the second expression is a function of the elongation. From the first equation, we see that increasing the length of a bar increases the amount of strain energy, even though the load is unchanged, because more material is being strained by the load. On the other hand, increasing either the modulus of elasticity of the cross-sectional area decreases the strain energy, because the strain in the bar are reduced. Non-uniform bars. The total strain energy U of a bar consisting of several segments is equal to the sum of the strain energies of the individual segments. For instance, the strain energy of the bar pictured here in figure equals the strain energy of segment AB plus the strain energy of segment BC. This concept is expressed in general terms by using the following equation, in which Ui is the strain energy of segment I of the bar and N is the number of segments. This relation holds whether the material behaves in a linear or non-linear manner. Now assume that the material of the bar is linearly elastic and that the internal axial force is constant within each segment. We can then use the above equation to obtain the strain energy of the segment. The equation becomes U is equal to summation of Ni square Li over 2 Ei Ai, in which Ni is the axial force acting on segment I, and in the same way Li, Ei and Ai are the properties of segment I. We can obtain the strain energy of a non-prismatic bar with continuously varying axial force, as displayed in figure, by applying the equation of strain energy PL P square L over 2EA to a differential element and then integrating along the length of the bar. In this equation, Nx and Ax are the axial force and the cross-sectional area at distance x from the end of the bar. So from the preceding expressions of strain energy, it is clear that the strain energy is not a linear function of the loads, not even when the material is linearly elastic. Thus, it is important to realize that we cannot obtain the strain energy of a structure supporting more than one loads by combining the strain energies obtained from the individual loads acting separately. However, in the case of the non-prismatic bar as shown in the figure, the total strain energy is not the sum of the strain energy due to load P1 acting alone and the strain energy due to load P2 acting alone. Instead, we must evaluate the strain energy with all of the loads acting simultaneously. Although we considered only tension members in the preceding discussion of strain energy, all of the concepts and equations apply equally well to members in compression. Since the work done by an axial load is positive regardless of whether the load causes tension or compression, it follows that strain energy is always a positive quantity. I am repeating again, the strain energy is always a positive quantity. This fact is also evident in the expressions for strain energy of linearly elastic bars. These expressions are always positive because the load and elongation terms are squared. Strain energy is a form of potential energy because it depends upon the relative locations of the particles or elements that make up the members. When a bar or a spring is compressed, its particles are crowded more closely together. When it is stretched, the distance between particles increases. In both cases, the strain energy of the member increases as compared to its strain energy in the unloaded positions. Here we will talk about displacements caused by a single load. The displacement of a linearly elastic structure supporting only one load can be determined from its strain energy. To illustrate the method, consider a 2-bar truss loaded by a vertical force P. Our objective is to determine the vertical displacement delta at joint B, where the load is applied. When applied slowly to the truss, the load P does work as it moves through the vertical displacement delta. However, it does not work as it moves laterally, that is sideways. Therefore, since the load displacement diagram is linear, the strain energy U stored in the structure equal to the work done by the load, as we already discussed in the previous section. So the equation of the strain energy would be like this: U is equal to W and it is equal to P delta over 2, from which we get the equation for delta, that is actually the displacement. So delta is equal to 2U over P. This equation shows that under certain special conditions, the displacement of a structure can be determined directly from the strain energy. The conditions that must be met in order to use this equation are as follows. The structure must behave in a linearly elastic manner and the only one load may act on the structure. Furthermore, the only displacement that can be determined in the displacement corresponding to the load itself. That is, the displacement must be in the direction of the load and must be at the point where the load is applied. Therefore, this method for finding displacements is extremely limited in its application and is not a good indicator of the great importance of strain energy principles in structural mechanics. The other important term in this discussion is the strain energy density. In many situations, it is convenient to use a quantity called the strain energy density. It is defined as the strain energy per unit volume of material. Expressions for strain energy density in the case of linearly elastic material can be obtained from the formulas of strain energy of a prismatic bar. Since the strain energy of the bar is distributed uniformly throughout its volume, we can determine the strain energy density by dividing the total strain energy U by the volume AL of the bar. Thus, the strain energy density, that is denoted by the symbol small u, can be expressed in either of the following terms. U is equal to P square over 2E A square. And the second term is U is equal to E. E is actually the modulus of elasticity, delta square over 2 L square. If we replace P over A by the term stress and delta over L by the term strain, we get the following expression. U is equal to sigma square over 2E. And the second term is U is equal to the product of modulus of elasticity and the square of the strain divided by 2. These equations give the strain energy density in a linearly elastic material in terms of either the normal stress or the normal strain. So in this lecture we studied some basic concepts of strain energy. Thank you for your attention.